welcome to our weekly Wednesday.
Sweet Mama's Talk.
Yep. We're excited. We'll be back. Mom was on
we weren't here last week. I was in the Grand Canyon. Well, I wasn't in the Grand Canyon, but
you were observing.
I wish I had been in the Grand Canyon, but yes, we were at the Grand Canyon, and so sorry we missed everybody last week, but we're back and we're excited to be here.
When you just said that, like, we don't have a topic, but like the difference between observation and participation just popped in my head, so I don't know if that'll pertain to a card or whatever, but we'll keep that in our head for the future.
We thought this time we would pull a card and see if that will kind of bring in, invite some topic, because we don't have anything specific. And last time we had actually pulled it before we got on, but we thought we would let you be witness to us pulling a card for this week and see if maybe something pulls, that pertains to what you just said, because I think that's great too. So
yeah, that just popped in my head. I have no idea why.
So as we kind of just mix the cards, typically what I do is I ask Spirit to bring any message to us that we need to hear today, or that we need to share, that maybe one of you out there needs to hear, and hopefully we can be that messenger. And I usually just mix until something tells me to stop, and then we can either randomly pick a card, or I'll sometimes just go with the top card.
Yeah, or it'll pop out at you sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it actually will fly out of the deck and land somewhere. And,
literally.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do, if it's okay, is we'll go with the top one.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure? Yeah. Ooh, no.
Okay. Okay, I think this is the card. You want to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Magic.
Oh.
Cool. Okay, it's cute. Bunny with the bunny and the hat.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Okay. In a tuxedo.
In a tuxedo.
Okay, I believe in magic. I see evidence of it all the time. And though the tricks can probably be explained away by something sensible and ordinary, I'd rather not ruin the fun. Other people can fill their days with mere coincidence. I'll fill mine with, holy crap, that's unbelievable. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sorry,
so
because
cool.
I'm visual, so I can't just hear it. I have to see it in order to totally
absorb it.
So I believe in magic. I see the evidence of it all the time. I do. I believe in magic. Oh, fill mine with, holy crap, that's unbelievable. I love that. Okay, so magic. And we see evidence of it all the time. And I think in some ways that does tie in with what you just said. Being an observer or being a participant. And I think when it refers to magic, it's kind of what it said in there is if we're observant and we notice it, do we dismiss it as being coincidental, or do we embrace it as being magic, as being a message that we are supposed to be getting? And so it's just a different perspective. And how would you kind of tie that in with observant and participant?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know, actually.
Maybe it doesn't fit. Maybe we're trying to make it fit.
Or maybe it will eventually.
Yeah, but I do feel that in order to recognize magic and to know that it's there, and that first you have to be intentional, and you have to be present, and you have to be mindful, and you have to be there, and to even notice it in the first place. Because magic to me can be anything as small as, I can't even think of a good example, but
The sunrise.
the sunrise, something that you see every day, but it's magical, or, you know, a caterpillar turning into a butterfly,
Mm-hmm.
or it can be as grand as the Grand Canyon,
Right,
which was pure magic.
I mean, how did that just form?
I learned so much. I was not big on geology or geography or history or anything
Or
as
rocks.
a kid. As a kid, I was bored in those subjects, and so I never paid attention. And my rock is turning colors. That's weird. Sorry, I'm holding my
That's
stone.
not weird, it's magic.
That's magic. Holy crap! No. So I never paid attention, and so I learned so much when I was at the Grand Canyon about the history and what they believe, how they believe it formed. I mean, nobody knows for sure, but there's evidence that it's been there or started 100 million years ago. I mean, and to look and to see something that's been there for ever. I mean, just before there were even dinosaurs. I mean, it was just,
According, to history.
yeah, and so it's like, that is magic. That is, and the beauty of it, you know, yes, that's nature, and yes, that's, if you believe in God, yes. I'm not dismissing any of that when I say magic.
Right, I agree. It ties together.
Yes. I just believe magic to me is those things that we can't explain and that are just awe-inspiring. I don't know how else to say it.
Magical.
Magical, yeah.
Sorry.
And that whether people believe in destiny or fate or coincidence, it's coming to us for a reason and at the right time.
And you have to be open to it.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, I wasn't when I was young. That's one thing I kept thinking while I was there was, I want to share this with my grandchildren. I want them to learn this young and see this and embrace it. And I thought, but will they? I mean,
Oh, they're gonna be like, oh, it's a bunch of rocks.
yeah, this is boring. This is boring. Can we be done now? I saw
Sorry.
children there that were like that. So we have to be ready and open, just like with anything in life. You have to be ready. You have to be willing to be open to it. And I think what also touched me on this trip at the Grand Canyon was thinking about how everything is living. You know, because everything is energy. And, you know, it's one thing to look outside and say, yeah, everything's living, it's all energy, everything's moving, everything. But to look at something like the Grand Canyon and think of that as living and the life that it has experienced for so many years. And, you know, they talked about how, you know, like the Native Americans and stuff, there were like little cabin type things or whatever that people would stay in. And, you know, I don't know, it just...
Sounds like if the walls could talk, kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
if the story could really be told of its journey, and it's like talking about a rock formation or whatever, but there's literally a journey, and that is through observation.
Yeah, you have to be
You have to
open, and
yeah.
you have to be aware, and you have to be mindful, or you're gonna miss it all. And, you know, like you said, somebody could look at the Grand Canyon and say, oh yeah, okay, well that's a really big hole, you know, or wow, look at all the rock, you know. But if you can stay open and really receive, because I do feel Spirit talk to me there. I really felt, I know that sounds odd, but it was like, not messages, but just like a connection. I felt such a strong connection to the energy there. But if I hadn't been open to that, you know, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. You know, yeah, it's pretty, but no, it's like, you can't even capture it on camera, you can't, you know, so.
And it's so massive, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of puts you into perspective of...
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because that was the other thought I had. It's like, I said to my husband, Richard, I said, I feel so insignificant,
Mhm.
or I realize how insignificant I am at this point, this place, this time, this, we represent such a small part of the whole. And not to diminish ourselves, but to understand that there's so much more than what we have ever experienced or ever will experience, or that we can even imagine. We can't even perceive or conceive of what else there is out there.
Like the magnitude, of
Yeah.
possibility or of anything.
And that really struck me too when I was there. And the other thing is I learned, and I might not have the numbers right, and it's not that important. The important thing is the message was basically, and I don't remember if it was every foot or every 12 feet, whatever it was, grew. Like, it took 50,000 years for that to form. And they said it's still forming.
So it's changing still.
It's still changing, even today. And they compared it to each year being like a piece of paper. So small, or so whatever, the difference each year is so small that it's almost not able to be measured. And that made me think about, how sometimes we feel, we talked about this before, feeling stuck, or like nothing's moving. It's not going fast enough. We want it to go faster. Why is this taking so long? And you look at the Grand Canyon, and it's only changing the, I don't know, would you call that width? What do you call that?
Piece of paper.
Yeah.
Worth.
That's all that it's changing. So, and yet look at it today. So I think for me it was also a reminder of, we have to trust that things are happening even if we can't see it or feel it or be aware of it, or maybe we can't even measure it, but trust and have faith that it is happening. There's always movement, there's always change.
Yeah, and the energy of it is flowing no matter what.
Yeah, and this reminded, so for me it was profound, because it just reminded me of so many things that I've been kind of working on with my spiritual growth, and affirming some of that, but also just making it so real to me, and just, it was just amazing.
And the thought, like as you're saying this, of like observation versus participation, I think when you're young, you're really participating in everything.
Right.
You're just in it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I think
But
there's a place and time for that.
Yeah. Especially like you're 7 to 14, where you're like in your human state and you're like learning and you're getting it all and you're taking it all in. But observation happens once you remove out of that, and you can almost see yourself as the participant. So now I'm out here watching myself participate in everything that's happening, and that's really my spirit observing, and now I can make more not educated but more informed decisions on what I'm going to participate in, how I want to participate in it, and what I want to let in to that perception. Because I could walk right past the Grand Canyon and be like, oh cool, watch, I'll throw some rocks in and that's amazing.
Well,
you can't do that. Don't throw rocks in the Grand Canyon. I don't really know. I'm thinking of like a big lake or something. Don't throw rocks in the Grand Canyon.
And don't pick up rocks and take them with you. This is not from the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, don't do that either.
This is from our favorite store, Evolve, in Crystal Lake. So
yes, that very, very favorite. But you can decide how you want to participate instead of just participating. It's like going a step further, or a step closer, really. And now you are observant of yourself participating. And so now that goes into like a crazy deep thing that I feel is the magic, is that means that if you can observe yourself participating, you already know there's two parts to yourself. Because if there's one part, you can't do two things at once. You can't participate and observe.
Right.
So
Right.
that shows that dimension of yourself, that there are two parts, because you can observe yourself participating in something. We've all done it before, where you're in a conversation and you're like, okay, I shouldn't be, like, this is not what I should be doing, this isn't where I should be, or,
Right.
and so that's pretty magical in itself.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I think, again, what we talked about is that takes awareness, and that takes being present. And not that you can't be present when you're participating, I like to think of it as we can be observer and then participate, like you said, from more of an informed place and not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
We can respond in a way that we know is best for us, or best for whatever, and not just react to it. Because I think being reactive is when then, like you said, we're not even really aware of what's happening, and we're just reacting to a situation, and maybe not very rationally.
Right.
And I mean, that's human. It happens. I just think if we can remember to also be observant, so we can kind of see what's happening and figure out how we want to be in that, or do we want to be in that moment?
Yeah, right. And you can choose to remove yourself if you be, observant of it. If you're in it, you don't even realize, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Half of the time. I mean, there are moments where I'm in that. But where you're like, whoa, 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 like how did I get where I'm at,
I was gonna say that I'm sure most people have experienced that, where you might be driving or something, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, how did I get here? It's like for a period of time you're just not there, and I think that is a good example. Or you get caught up on your phone. That happened to me coming home from the airport, and
sucked in. You get
Yeah.
sucked in.
now I felt a little bad at first, because I thought, well, my husband's sitting next to me, and honestly, we got from, I had looked up and we were on 90, and the next time I looked up and I looked outside, and I'm like, nothing looked familiar, and I'm like, gosh, did he take a different way? I know the way so clearly, I would recognize anything. I said, where are we? And Richard said, well, we're coming up to Case Road. We were almost to a 12 and 120.
And you're like,
And it
I
felt
know
like
I got
no
it.
time had gone by. And at first it felt kind of bad, and then I thought, you know what? We were just together for a week, nonstop. And I had not really used my phone much. And so I don't remember what I was doing on my phone, so I gave myself some grace, and I said, it's fine. But it's just a good example of how we can get so caught up that we're not really present
Mm-hmm.
and in the moment. And like I said, there's times that's okay, that we need to do that. It's just being aware of the fact that we can choose when we do that and when we want to be present.
This came up actually in my last session with Nikki, who is a spiritualist, and she said sometimes our spirit, like our soul, has to leave our body,
Mm-hmm.
and that happens a lot. It's collecting information for us. It's helping other people. There's a lot of things. Like, we're not here just to hang out and participate.
Right.
We have a greater purpose.
Our spirit has a job, basically, yeah.
Yeah, lots of jobs to do, maybe one job. And at times it will leave to go do that. So if you have like days where you're super cloudy and you're not getting anything done, or you're catching yourself on your phone a lot, or you're binge watching Netflix or whatever, that's because your spirit is working for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes maybe a car ride, that situation might have been a little different. You needed to separate, but maybe not. Maybe your spirit needed to go and do something for you.
Yeah, that's
know?
very possible.
And she comes back in, and then you're like, whoa, what just happened? And so she gave good advice. So she goes, to find out if that's what really happened, you could be like, okay, I feel like I'm back and I didn't know where I went. Did you go somewhere? Did you collect information? Do you have information for me? Or what were you doing? And listen, and she's like, that's something to start practicing. And I know this sounds maybe a little far-fetched and out there,
But yeah.
No, but like you
It's
could
true,
maybe
but I
get,
believe it very much. I'm just saying some people think of it as woo-woo, but
yeah, but maybe you get
It's
some
magic.
information.
it's magic.
Mhm. And you might be able to get information.
Right.
You might just have your sister pop in your head, or you might have, something pop in your head and you're like, oh, so you were going to go check on that. Or you might, in a week, learn, I don't even know, something that you're like, I didn't even know I knew that, but okay, rock on.
Right.
But so that's why we need to be nice to ourselves, because sometimes it's for the greater good and you don't even know.
Right. And I do, and it's like you said, how do you know though? And you can certainly ask. The other thing I think is just being aware again of, is this becoming a pattern? Is this becoming a habit? Because I mean, if I'm sitting there binge watching TV every day, for a couple of weeks,
You need to take it back, yeah.
okay, maybe I am avoiding, or maybe I'm, whatever, and what's really going on here. But I think, like you said, for me, that half hour or whatever it was in the car, for whatever reason, that was needed, and that's okay, and giving myself permission for that. So I think we're talking about the times when we want to participate, and so it's important that we be observant and that we are aware and that we are present and in the moment. Or say the other person that I'm with that I love, that my husband or whoever it would be, needs something in that moment to be able to be there and be present for someone else. But yeah, so I don't know how what kind of
Tangented all over the
started
place.
here and ended over there.
But magic, I feel, is the perception of like of the person. So the things that I think is magical, I love everything. I think everything is magical, but that's coming through my filter.
Right.
I mean, you see things that happen that are so huge, like the Grand Canyon or things like that, that kind of reminds you, but every little thing that happens is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
How, it all ties in together. I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, things that we see every day that we kind of take for granted, but if we were to stop and really think about everything that was involved in that thing coming to being, it could be as grand as the Grand Canyon. It's just, I'm looking out my window and we have baby trees because we have new construction here, and the one is pretty bent out there, and it's just a baby tree, and then the winter was probably hard on it, and I'm hoping that it'll come, be okay this spring, but just even what might be happening that we're not even aware of to make that tree stand there, and so something as simple as that we see every day, and so just noticing those things and appreciating the fact that it is all magic. It's magical, and you're right, it's all different perspective. Everybody can have a different idea of magic, and of course there's magic tricks, there's pulling the bunny out of a hat or whatever.
Sure.
But no, those are more of illusions, and I think if there's an illusion, that's totally different than the type of magic we're talking about, because I think the things that, at least that I'm referring to, that are magical in my life, there is an explanation. It's just that it's something that is so beyond my realm of knowing, that you can't even, I can't even grasp all of the enormity of it. But it doesn't mean it's an illusion, and I guess that's where the difference would be for me in magic is, somebody doing a card trick, they're doing some type of an illusion there to, it's kind of like
Trick your human brain.
Yeah, they're tricking your human brain.
Yeah.
So, magic in the sense of the spiritual world, or the unknown, or the...
You can't explain too, where you're like, how did that, all just tie together? Or I wish I had an experience, like a thought or an experience come in my head that was like that, where you're like, I can't even think of do you have an example like that? I'm trying to remember one of those where you're like, get out of here. There's no way. Like, how did that align like that?
Yeah. And I know it happens all the time.
It does.
But when you're kind of like thinking about it, it's like, okay, now, when did that happen and what's a good example of that?
Well,
if it comes up, we'll talk about it another time.
yeah, we're gonna put that in here, because apparently we're not supposed to
That's not where we're going today, I guess.
know that. Yeah. Huh. But I believe in magic. But I also feel that the more open you are, the more you're gonna see it, and the more things are gonna happen that you feel are magical.
Absolutely. Because again, if you're not open to it, you're not going to recognize it when it's there. You're gonna do kind of like what they say, you're gonna say, you're gonna try to explain it away with something sensible and ordinary because you're not open to that.
So it's the same thing, honestly, as the participant in the observation. If you aren't open and further back and more aware, you're not gonna see it anyways.
Right. And then you're participating in a way that maybe isn't for the better. Like I said, reacting to situations in a way that maybe later you go, gosh, I wish I hadn't reacted that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you just said something a minute ago too about magic, and I don't remember. Wow.
I really wish
I know.
remember.
Yeah, you said how the more you're open to it, the more you're going to see it. And what it reminded me of, which I'm sure too has also happened to most of everybody, is it's like with a car. Like all of a sudden, maybe I can't remember. I had a car once. I think it was a Focus, the Ford Focus. And remember that green little?
Oh
Ford
yeah, that I hit the mailboxes with, but I told you I didn't hit any mailboxes with.
okay.
Yeah, that one.
That's where those scratches came
The scratches from putting the flyers for my dance team on
Yeah, I
the
kind of figured it was you. I
mailboxes.
think
Yeah.
I even asked you that. Yeah.
It's like, no, that wasn't me.
Okay, now that's not magic.
No, that's his honesty.
But before I had gotten the car, I had never heard of a Focus. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know they existed. The color green I picked out I loved, and I hadn't really noticed any green cars. And all of a sudden, you're driving down the road, and everywhere you look, there's a Focus.
Yep.
And there's green Focuses, and there's other green cars that are the same green as my green that I thought was so beautiful. So it's like, once something comes into your awareness, then you're going to even be more open, and you're going to find more of it. So I think, that's a good example for like with magic. I think it's the same thing. As soon as you
Bring it into your reality.
yeah, then you're going to see more of it.
So that car thing is a good example. Oh, I just left my brain too.
I'm
What
a
is
little
happening
scattered today. Something's going on. I don't know.
I don't even know, but
I know for me it's just getting back from vacation. I think I don't know what your excuse is.
I don't know. I don't have an excuse, but it's it doesn't matter. The person that I don't know. So
I think though that that's we pretty much covered that, and if I were to kind of say we wrap that up with this the magic, I believe in magic. I see evidence of it all the time. I'd rather not ruin the fun. I love that day. I'll fill mine with holy crap, that's unbelievable. I think that reminds me of you. You live your life like that a lot.
all the time.
All the time. And I think that is such a gift. And I think we can all live that if we remain open and we bring into our awareness that there's things going on that we can't even imagine.
Right.
At all times. And remember that when we're having bad days and it feels like nothing is changing and we feel like things aren't going the way we want them to go or as fast as we want them to go, that just because we don't see it, it is happening. It's under the surface. It might be this much of a change, you know,
Yeah.
every, you know, whatever day or year or whatever, but it is happening, and trusting that.
And everything is happening for you. Like it's all moving and changing
Mhm.
for you. Even the hard things and it's all working for you.
Right.
Even,
It's hard to see that when you're in a dark place. I know we've both experienced that. And so again, kind of bringing it back to the awareness thing is, if you have that awareness and you can experience some of this magic and you can embrace it on the good days, it helps then on those bad days because you've already got that awareness. It's like seeing that car, that focus out there. It's like, even though you might not be able to feel it in that moment, you know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you that little bit of hope that today sucks, but I know it will get better. And I know that there is still magic, and I know that things are happening, and they are happening for my good. And I just have to be patient, and what can I do for myself in this moment, and be kind to myself, and just recognize that this too will pass.
Yeah, and the magic that it is moving, and you can pull yourself out of that and see whatever negative is going. I mean, that's already incredible.
Yep. Absolutely.
So too, lots of magic this week.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
Notice it. Be aware of it.
That's what we'll do for next week. Let's see what every day, like what's something magical that, something mind blowing, that surprises us.
It can be very small. Like I said, it can seem insignificant at the time, but just that will help increase our awareness. I know people talk about, journaling, gratitude journals, which I believe in totally. And because again, as soon as you start writing down what you're grateful for, it helps to fill up that gratitude more and more. And I think it could be the same thing with magic, is the more we recognize it, the more we're going to experience it. So yeah, let's try to kind of keep track of that this week, and try to recognize at least one thing every day that's
awesome.
Magic.
I thought of an example. So this is kind of stupid, but kind of important. I had this annoying thing that I had to go to the gym for. It was like, Coach Christy, we need you to bring this paper. It has to go out today. You have a little, and I'm like, fine. It's Tuesday. It's the only day that I don't go to the gym. Like physically don't go to the gym. And I'm like, fine. And I go in there, and it's like, I had to be there not because of that piece of paper. I can't remember the story, but I forgot why I had to be there. But it was something like the conservation police officer or whatever was coming in and was trying to schedule his appointment. It was like his 6th time, and I was like meant to be there at that minute because
Right.
that other person needed me to be there. It had nothing to do with the piece of paper.
Right.
And if all I was doing was participating, like the staff should be blah, and everybody should be doing this, instead of like, okay, it's fine, I'll go in on a Tuesday, I'll do what I have to do, I was able to have that experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was the universe moving things for a reason.
Right. And not only like what you said is, you wouldn't have been there and been able to take advantage of whatever that situation was, but it also, you do it for your own peace of mind or sanity too, though. You know what I mean? Because if we can go into it, like you said, as an observer and say, okay, I really don't want to have to go to the gym today. But I'm going to trust that this is something that, we can be at a calmer place, because otherwise you could have gone in there and, like you said, just ruined your whole day, and you're crabby, and you're, and that does nobody any good at all.
No, it runs your whole day.
Right.
Yeah.
And could possibly affect other people around you. And so, again, I think trusting that is the way it works is, like
That's
I said,
the
you don't have to,
magic, man.
yeah, you don't have to like it. And you can say, you know what, this really sucks that I have to go in on the one day, but you know what, this is what it is, and obviously this is where I'm supposed to go. And there's no proof of that that anything else would have been different, but just knowing that, you know, you were where you needed to be at the right time. And I think about that with, you know, trains and planes, and, you know, like if you miss a flight, or if, you know, I mean, unfortunately 911 is probably, you know, very tragic example of that, the people that were, you know, at work that day. And but I think of that every time, like something happens where maybe I don't know, there's an accident and it delays me, and now I'm 10 minutes late going somewhere. It's like I have to remind myself to stop and say thank you, God, thank you, universe, whatever you know your belief is, because had I been 10 minutes sooner, who knows, maybe something horrible would have happened. So trusting that and knowing that it is all working the way it's supposed to, and trusting that magic.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
So let's find the magic this week.
All right.
We're gonna have some, probably not that monumental stories for next week. Magic
stories.
They're gonna be great.
And you know what? We'd like to hear any magic in your life too. If you guys would like to share that, we would welcome it, and that would give us something more to talk about too. So
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
namaste. Peace out. Whatever.
Till
Thank
next
you for
Wednesday.
Yep. Thank you for being here.
I hate this part. The walk up there, like, what are
We
you?
can always cut that. Oh no, it's live. So.
It's like, but I cut it out of our first one because I had a
Everybody.
dress on and I went like this, and you saw my underwear, so I like.
Oh, and everybody. Oh, save it.
I have to